Hello, I'm back again with another video. This time without my AirPods because apparently I lost one side to it. I don't know where. I hope I didn't swallow it in my sleep. Um, okay, so back to the main reason why I'm recording this video. So today I am going to be talking about depression and one of its symptoms of depression. I know it varies from person to person. There's this thing going around saying, that says that depression does not have a face, which is partially true. There's some, on my side, I feel like I could dispute some of the things against that, but aside from some symptoms that are easily picked up on. So I came across this article on theguardian.com, and it talked about how depression is a disease of loneliness. I think I'm going to go ahead and provide the link below. It's by Andrew Solomon, and it was a really good read because I found myself Googling this thing, and I typed in the search bar, I Googled, why do I remain unproductive or unmotivated without the presence of others? And it just hit me, the fact that I'm actually even Googling something like that. And I decided to read up on it, or at least this was the article that popped up. And it's so weird because I find that I want to talk about this because when I'm in a different setting, when it comes to sharing a dorm or living in a house with a family, or all these things that have ties, physical ties to somebody within a household, I feel secure. And secure in a sense that every person in their own respective rooms, in any given moment, anything that happens under the same roof, you would expect that they would be the first person on site to help you and to free you of your pain, or whatever that's bringing you down. That's my understanding of what it is. Ever since I moved out, I realized that things aren't the way it used to be, or at least the shift in atmosphere and company and lifestyle has directly impacted me, and it's an obvious impact. It's not something that you know that is easily hidden. And one thing I realized is that this goes back way into my childhood, maybe when I was 14, and I'm 22 now. But it goes back to the time where I had to be responsible for everything. And that kind of, shook me up. Because I was 14 years old, I had to take care of my baby brother, get him ready for school, make sure he eats, make sure he goes to sleep. And there's so much trauma that goes back into my childhood that I don't even speak of, because it's either that I choose to forget it, or I just they're just not pleasant enough for me to keep and store in my memory box. But it's still there. It's still there regardless of how much I try to suppress or hide it. And when I was 14 and I had to deal with all that heavy responsibility, I forgot to take care of myself. Something as basic as throwing out the garbage, you know, putting laundry all over the place, having clutter on your bed. I'm number one for that. Like, there's always, if I'm cleaning something, all my mess ends up on the bed. So when I was in the hospital, one of the improvements that had to be shown in your performance to the evaluators, like the nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, medical students, all these people in charge of the mental health department, at least, they keep track on how well you take care of yourself. So, in order for you to be discharged out of a psych ward, you have to prove to them that you are fine, you're fully functional, and you bring no harm to yourself or anyone around you, which was very understandable. At the time of my hospitalization, I couldn't understand. Part of me was very destructive. I wanted to take my own life away because I felt like the weight of my depression just crushed me, and I wanted to end it. And in order for me to end the depression was to end myself, and there was no other way except for that. I slowly grew cold and angry and hostile to my surroundings and the people around me. The people who wanted to help, I just was so snappy at. And many times I would expect that reciprocity to understand what I'm going through and why am I so destructive because of my depression, what is triggering me, what is really shaking me to the core that I can't even budge off. There's reasons for me when I get mad, there's reasons for me when I snap, there's reasons for me when I react the way I react, because it all stems from trauma and how I had to deal with a situation like that when I wasn't even, mentally prepared to deal with something like that. So these are all like premature coping skills, skills that I was supposed to polish over time, but end up being a talent that is not useful because I did not practice it well enough, or nobody was there to teach me what the right way was. And which brings me back to the hospital. So I made sure for a whole week that, I'm like, hey, I may be a little bit sick in the head, but I'm not this sick in the head. I need to get out of here. And they kept me from day to day to day. And I felt, this thing taking toll on me. It wasn't a pleasant feeling. I didn't feel that I was recovering. I felt even worse than I went in. You lose sense of time in the psych ward. Entertainment, TVs on repeat, people constantly checking up on you to see if you're not attempting to hurt yourself. Forced and awkward therapy sessions sometimes. The only thing that I feel like I've engaged so genuinely is when I talk to the other patients who are suffering like me, or maybe even having a worse situation than I have. I've met schizophrenics, MDs. I mean, like, I've met so many people. People get freaking hospitalized for having disorganized thinking, and I never really put that into account until I really understood that sometimes we can't make a mental list of something. We gotta physically write it down on a piece of paper, that it's visual, that our brain can assess and interpret. And I'm like, whoa, Sometimes mental illness does affect you in ways that aren't so easy. And like I said, it varies from person to person. But it's true. Because now that I relive today, that I'm living on my own, I feel like I don't have a sense of control for one portion of my life. I have always jumped into relationships and commitments really fast only because I feel that I can't hang on to myself on my own. And that's why I end up in really bad relationships. I end up being the psycho, the clingy, you know, all because I don't feel confident on my own. Part of me, I can function on a day-to-day basis. I noticed that today and every other day, like ever since I moved to the city. But I realized that I have more enthusiasm to go out and leave the spot that I lay my head to rest or wake up from every morning. I tend to be far, 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 far more enthusiastic than staying within my four walls and cleaning and getting my life together. Like, it's weird because I don't know if my physical clutter can define my mental clutter, but sometimes I feel it's a little bit more intricate than that. I feel as though that I can't deal with the basic things on my own. If I'm sick, if I'm bored, if I'm this, if I'm that, I've put so much weight on other people to entertain my life that I forgot what it's like to find things that I like. And, these are the things that you just sit there and it hits you and you're just like, wow, okay. But on the outside, I remain sharp, I remain vigilant, I remain attentive and woke and present. But if I could show you like the back of my camera, which I'm a little reluctant to, my whole room is a mess. And this mess is at least 3 weeks old. I mean, I do the basics of throwing the garbage. Sometimes I can't even, but like, I throw garbage and yet there's still so much clutter. And I notice that I'm just rearranging my clutter. I'm not getting rid of them. I'm just rearranging it. And I feel like that's what's going on in my mind. Or maybe I don't even know. See, sometimes these things drive you crazy, but I just wanted to bring it to attention that this is one of the symptoms of depression. The fact that you can't even carry out basic needs like cleaning your bed or sweeping the floor or wiping the windows or mirrors. It's like simple acts and activities that you can't carry out. And it's the most saddest, painful, numb feeling anybody can feel. I don't like it because it makes me feel like I'm disassociating from the real world, and which has some truth to it because I'm not fully grasping life as it is, and that's why I resort to other people to fill the void that I feel on the inside. It's not the healthiest thing to do, but sometimes I rely on it for survival. Sometimes I just, retract and disengage myself from that kind of activity, and I just want to be on my own, which isn't healthy either. So there's really no win-win situation here. This is, one of the reasons why depression is an actual thing. And it's serious, so take it into account.